Hello everyone, I'm Chester44 and welcome to this Let's Play of Tyranny. Last episode was pretty much all character creation, because there's a lot of data and a lot of decisions I needed to make, and we're still technically not done. We're now up to Conquest, which is basically where we're talking about how we were involved with the invasion of the Tiers, which is the place the game is apparently going to take place. I feel like this is going to be important because we'll learn a lot about what's coming on, and it's going to change how the game works. Or at least how people are going to treat us and things like that, as it says here, and as I read at the end of the last one. So, I don't know how long this is going to take, let's find out. 428 TR, Year 1 of Kyros' Conquest. Oh, jeez. Oh, wow! The Bastard City. Named for its position between two realms, the Northern Empire and the Southern Tiers, the Bastard City and its surrounding lands, known as the Bastard Tier, is a melting pot of cultures and a place of commerce and intrigue. The Tiersmen of the South view the Bastard City as a place of wealth and excess, but to the people of the Northern Empire, the Bastard City is little more than a sprawling slum. Tune on the Educator establishes court in the Bastard City. From this word called the Tiers. Okay. Let's not go through that too much. The Bastard City stood on the northern border between Kyros' empire and the Tiers. Built upon a natural harbor at the crossroads between realms, the city was a nexus of commerce. To the Tiers, it was the center of all wealth. To a northerner, it was little more than a backwater trading post. Its symbolic status as a gateway to the continent made it a natural first target in Kyros' military conquest. Circumstances were ideal for you to prove your worth as a soldier in Kyros' armies. Taking the city would send a message to the rest of the tier. Kyros' will is insurmountable. Select a token to begin. Infiltrate the tiers. Both armies sent their forces to prepare the way. Gates of Judgment. In the first major engagement of the war, Kyros' armies cross the mountains and establish a foothold. Infiltrate the tiers. Oh! History would remember the Gates of Judgment as the first battle of the Conquest, but the real combat unfolded with advanced units of both armies preparing for the coming war. The Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus each had a plan to infiltrate the capital city. Which army did you join? Either the Disfavored. You lent your skills to the elite Disfavored scouts to capture a border garrison. Graven Ash insisted that an early victory in the offensive would boost the morale of his troops, and diminish the haughty overconfidence of the Southerners. Or, you joined the Scarlet Chorus as they raided villages and small towns, conscripting every able-bodied man and woman into the army. The voices of Narat emphasized the rewards of conscription and enslavement over wanton bloodshed. Apparently his soldiers needed the reminder. What if we choose this? The armies of Kyros took the battle to the Gates of Judgment, trumpeting the opening call of the conquest of the Tiers. The two armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, brought their distinctive sense of order and chaos to the assault. You went to battle alongside the army whose approach best suited your strengths. We again have the Disfavored. Standing shield to shield with Kyros' ironclad elite, you advanced on the mercenary army purchased by the nobles of the Bastard City. The Legion wanted to send a message to the Tiers that superior breeding and disciplined training would win the day. Or, you rushed with the chaotic mass of the Scarlet Chorus, flanked the Bastard City's army, and drove them to flee. Let's try and Oh, I see. We only have 3 choices here. So if we choose to infiltrate, an early victory on the offensive would boost the morale of his troops and diminish the haughty overconfidence. So this is interesting the way this is going to work then. Capturing a border garrison or going right to the gates? I think the border garrison. With the Disfavored, I think. The Oathbound scouts identified a modest border defense and collaborated on an organized attack that would leave the enemy uncoordinated and cut off from aid. You oversaw the preparations and offered your opinions on the strategy. When the clashing of swords and spears fell to silence, followed by the cheering of Disfavored scouts, you were the least surprised. And we only had a choice. So it's one or the other. Containing the fire. Your fiercest opponents in the Bastard City were the mages of the School of Wild Wrath. Too barbaric to use power responsibly, the unbridled practitioners needed to be stopped. How did you trick the hot-tempered mages into their own undoing? Let's see. Lure them into a disfavored ambush. You lured the hot-headed mages into an ambush where a legion of disfavored waited to spring the trap. The soldiers were hungry for a chance to subdue the arcane branch of Tyr's resistance. Or a meeting with the Voices of Nerat. You tricked the guild elders into meeting with the Voices of Nerat, Archon of Secrets. The Archon was notorious for his cruel and mysterious interrogation techniques. The mages were never seen again. On the other side, Inside Agent. You found an ally within the city to prepare the way for the approaching armies. With the border garrison captured by your disfavored allies, you traveled ahead of Kyros' armies and lurked in the shadows of the Bastard City. You decided that converting one of the locals to Kyros' side would help bring the city to its knees. After all, corruption starts from within. You enlisted a bitter captain of the guard to sell military secrets to the disfavored, better that Kyros' forces march to their next inevitable victory well informed, or you came to an arrangement with a well-connected smuggler who knew how to sneak agents of the Scarlet Chorus behind the city walls. The Scarlet Chorus were better operatives than soldiers, and this work required a subtle touch. Interesting. So this is how it's going to change. So we did the preparations. Maybe dealing with the mages might work. What is the Voices of Nerat? Known in his official capacity as the Archon of Secrets, the Voices of Nerat is equal parts genius and madman. Rumors abound that he can steal the minds of others, though few, if any, are alive to confirm as much. The subjects of his interrogation are never heard from again, and the Archon is able to recall the memories of his victims with startling accuracy. He is the inconsistent leader of the Scarlet Chorus, facilitating between commanding from the vanguard and directing his armies in absentia. Despite his strange methods, no one doubts that the Voices of Nerat is an accomplished strategist, even suggesting that his madness stems from thinking hundreds, perhaps thousands of steps ahead of his enemies. So, do we want to deal with the mages, or do we want to sneak in? Tough choice. Maybe it would be wise to contain the fire, and working here, that does seem tricky and diplomatic in a way. I think that seems fitting. Yes, contain the fire, tricking them into a meeting with the Archon of Secrets. That could get a lot of information. There were few who could describe what horrors the Archon of Secrets visited upon his enemies during the Conquest. Whether the Elder Mages knew little of the Archon's reputation or met with him out of curiosity didn't matter. Once the flap of the Archime's tent closed, none of them were heard from again, save for a strangled cry of alarm that ended just as swiftly. Leaderless, the School of Wild Wrath fell into disorder, and the remaining members were slain by the disfavored or conscripted into the Scarlet Chorus. Your tactics of infiltration placed you in the Bastard City ahead of the main armies. Your work softened the city defenses for the arrival of Kyros' forces, but you wanted a decisive gesture that would give your allies a meaningful advantage. How did you assist in the fall of the Bastard City? Let's see. We have duel the city marshal, incite a riot, or spread fear through assassination. Duel the city marshal. You challenged the commander of the Bastard City's defenses to an honorable fight to the death. The disfavored wished to spare soldier lives for the battles ahead and civilian lives for occupation. And we get Warrior's Respite. Stand your ground in the face of defeat. During this time you will regenerate health rapidly, but your damage is significantly reduced. Ah! So, yeah, it's and use it once per encounter. It's a final survive. That I like. We've got Incite a Riot. Spreading the word of Kyros, you converted the poor and disfavored into a hidden army of the Scarlet Chorus. Once the dust settled, the army wished to bolster their troops with these sleeper cells. Searing Palm. Gather heated energy into your hands and release it unto a foe. The target ignites in flames, burning over time. Okay, that's a spell. And we have Spread Fear Through Assassination. Keeping to the shadows, you eliminated the leaders of the Bastard City one by one. Concealing Shadows. Create a cloud of obscuring shadows and dust. For a short duration, enemies that use physical attacks against you have a significantly increased chance to miss. During this time, your attacks will also be less effective. You know what? I think a duel with the City Marshal sounds good, and I like that ability. That's definitely what we're going with. The City Marshal was an old but experienced fighter, and his value to the Guard was an accepted truth. After making guarantees for your protection, you met him in the square of the Market District and fought in the view of tense onlookers. The battle drew on longer than you thought possible. Good fortune struck when an ornamental chain hanging from the Marshal's armor snagged the quillion of his sword, granting you the opportunity to end his life swiftly. Kyros' forces celebrated your return to camp and the dissolution of enemy morale. All agreed that the Bastard City was poised to crumble. And crumble it did. Oof. And that was 1 of 4! Oh boy. Oh wait, we're not done. The Bastard City settled into a new state of normalcy, with every tower displaying Kyros' banner. Your name was whispered alongside rumors of a decorated career to come. The armies divided into 2 fronts and migrated south. Tunon sent word that you were to join the next frontier of Kyros' conquest, either as judge and overseer of the settlement of Lethian's Crossing, or as a war advisor with the armies advancing into the realm of Apex. What's Lethian's Crossing? Built in the shadow of an old Wall's junction in the realm of Haven, Lethian's Crossing is a growing trading settlement. The nearby rivers are rich in iron ore, though the locals lack the technology to smelt and forge the element. In the years following Kyros' conquest of the Tiers, the population of Lethian's Crossing swelled with refugees fleeing the destruction of their homelands. Okay, I feel like maybe we should save some of these. So we have Apex. The troops of the mountain realm of Apex stood idle in the safety of their valley, biding their time as their neighbors in the Bastard Tier fell. In the second year of the war, a joint force of the disfavored and Scarlet Chorus crossed over the mountains to take control of the Tier's central valley, or Lethian's Crossing. Deposits of iron made the settlement of Lethian's Crossing a strategic war asset. Kyros sent the Forge-bound, smith mages of exceptional skill, to establish a flow of weaponry. Tunon the Agitator sent one of his Fate-banders to ensure the enforcement of Kyros' law. I think that sounds like a good choice there. Helping out in securing Lethian's Crossing? Yes. That seems better for me. 429 TR, Year 2 of Kyros' Conquest. Years ago, Lethian the Bold founded a small merchant town in the intersection of ancient old walls. A pact between the settlers and a mercenary company meant that caravans were able to travel without fear of bandits or bane, and the town thrived in modest insignificance. Lethian's Crossing drew Kyros' attention for the iron deposits in the surrounding hills. With the region under Kyros' control, the northern smith mages could set up workshops to refine ore and arm the disfavored with the finest weapons in the known world. The Archon of Secrets dismantled the mercenary support with a generous bribe, taking the crossing in a bloodless victory. Tunon dispatched you to travel alongside Kyros' forces and bring order to the region. So, let's see, what have we got? The iron must flow. You found a clever solution to improve production of iron weapons and armor. Kyros' smith mages worked day and night to create weapons. No one faulted their dedication, yet production was low. The plans that came to light proved divisive to the disfavored and Scarlet Chorus. On one hand, any additional manpower was needed for fighters, not forges. On the other hand, the celebrated weaponry of Kyros' armies needed to be fiercely guarded. Let's see. Draw from the Scarlet Chorus recruit. The Scarlet Chorus took refugees from the recent influx and forced them to serve in Kyros' military. You repurposed these individuals to haul wagons of iron for the smith mages. This proved an inconvenience to the Scarlet Chorus, who relied on their force of numbers to be effective on the field. Or conscript a tribe of beastmen. You conscripted help from a local tribe of beastmen. Their strength would more than offset their disobedience. The disfavored protested that savages have access to the secrets of iron, but their voices were few compared to the support of the Scarlet Chorus. On the other hand, the cult of Siren, the Archon of Song's power ensnared the mind of a disfavored soldier. Siren, Archon of Song, used her arcane charm to lure locals into joining Kyros' army. As a patroness of the Scarlet Chorus, her efforts were critical to the conscription of new recruits. When an enthralled, disfavored soldier joined her cult, his company feared that the Archon was growing out of control and needed to be stopped. Let's see. Destroy Siren's cult. The disfavored demanded that the Archon of Song cease her recruitment practices and that they be allowed to violently subdue her cult of followers. The loss of soldiers was a significant setback to the Scarlet Chorus's conscription efforts. Or send Siren's cult to the vanguard. In Scarlet Chorus tradition, you send the latest batch of cultists to the front lines of the Apex campaign. Those who survived were welcome to remain in Kyros' military, and their performance would stand as a testimony to Siren's effectiveness. Interesting. I feel like production might be important. I feel like this might be better. Oh, wait. Okay, now I understand. The disfavored are saying that the beastmen should not have access to knowing how to work iron. I think, actually, this could work. This way we have help from the locals, and we're not taking from our own military forces, and we're reinforcing the strengths of our armies. Yeah, I like this. I think this works. Once again, support for the Scarlet Chorus. The Scarlet Chorus were overjoyed to learn of a beastmen conscription, and graciously lent their support to your cause. The local beastmen were subdued and yoked to iron-bearing wagons, where their boundless strength and tirelessness proved critical to the smith mages. The disfavored grew agitated about exposing the secret of iron to savages. You attempted to allay their concerns, but your words fell flat before a stubborn, uncompromising audience. So what have we got next? Pick of the armory. As the forges improved production, both armies demanded preferential treatment. Since you aided the production of weapons, commanders of both armies lobbied for additional arms. They offered all manner of bribes to be next in line for a fitting session with the masters of the forge. How'd you sate the lust for iron? Either you let the disfavored have the iron, keeping the best tools in the hands of the elite. The Scarlet Chorus saw the slight as an obvious display of preferential treatment. Or you gave iron arms to the Scarlet Chorus commanders, knowing they pay very well for any killing tool. Weaponry of such a claim was typically reserved for the highest disfavored officers, but you were open to changing tradition under the circumstances. Or you allowed no changes to the orderly dispensation of iron and punished those who tried to bribe you twice. Ooh, that seems like the right choice. But what do we have here? A Guardian's Due. Kyros' armies used Lethian's Crossing as a reprieve from the war. The city grew more crowded as a mercenary army hired by the Archon of Secrets occupied the barracks, where they drained resources and escalated tensions. The disfavored wanted nothing to do with the sellswords, but the Scarlet Chorus sought to invite them into the fold. Either the disfavored demanded that the mercenaries be kept far from Kyros' armies. The righteous occupiers would not deign to share provisions or supplies with degenerate sellswords. You built a separate barracks and mess hall in order to keep the sellswords out of the army's way, and enacted strict laws against disorderly conduct. Or you let the Scarlet Chorus and the mercenaries engage in combat games and challenges, and allowed laws against revelry and merriment to go unenforced. Those who won the contest took a greater share of provisions, and sellswords of merit were invited to join Kyros' army. Interesting choices there. but I think solving the whole thing with the armory by remaining neutral and punishing those who try to bribe a mighty judge, jury, and executioner of Kyros' army, that I like. Using language that left nothing open to interpretation, you let both of the commanders know that bribery would not be tolerated in Kyros' military. That didn't stop either of them from seeking you out again, making promises of wealth and advancement if you showed special favor. Deciding that enough was enough, you ordered both of the commanders flogged in view of their armies, letting pain and humiliation teach them where reason had failed. Tragedy struck when a mercenary hired by the voices of Narat injured a forge-bound artisan, leaving him unable to practice his craft. Tunon ordered the mercenaries to leave the city in the hands of Kyros' more respectable servants. Only a token garrison could be left behind while the armies returned to the front. As the disfavored and Scarlet Chorus showed increasing tension and hostility toward each other, Tunon decreed it best that only one force controlled the crossing. Let's see. I either grant it to the disfavored or the Scarlet Chorus. I want to say, without a doubt, the disfavored. Because the Scarlet Chorus, they're a horde. And I will grant them, while yes, they are a horde, they also are led by one who is in charge of stealth and trickery, which is not Lethian's Crossing. Lethian's Crossing is a place that produces arms, armor, weapons, all the things forged for the front line of war. And that's the disfavored specialty. They are the ones in the front line, they're the ones with the specialties. So, to the disfavored. The disfavored placed a modest garrison in the settlement of Lethian's Crossing. Though the force was larger than might be needed to police a small settlement, protecting the forge-bound ironsmiths became the true agenda of the defense force, as these magical craftsmen kept the disfavored invasion force suited in iron. Relieved at the departure of the Scarlet Chorus, the citizens of Lethian's Crossing felt they got the least of the two burdens. You received word from Graven Ash thanking you for your decision. The forge-bound and their weaponry could not be entrusted to the voices of Narat. Okay, then. Oh boy. I need some more water. With the mercenaries expelled and Lethian's Crossing under new leadership, Kyros' forces congratulated themselves on bringing order to the settlement and guaranteeing a productive flow of resources. Over the course of this diversion, the army front advanced further into the tiers. Your skills were needed in the realm of Azure, Stalwart, or the Vellum Citadel. Vellum Citadel. Kyros' conquering gaze fell upon the Vellum Citadel, its treasures, its knowledge, its secrets. Stalwart. With its easily defended position and rich military tradition, the realm of Stalwart was the most formidable realm in the tiers, or Azure. Kyros dispatched the Archon of Stone to subjugate the nation of Azure. Which we don't know much about each of them. Let's see. Treasures, knowledge, and secrets. The most formidable realm in the tiers, or the nation of Azure. We don't really know much about them. What's the Vellum Citadel? A library fortress with the largest archive of the written word in the tiers. The School of Ink and Quill protected and maintained the archive of ancient lore for centuries, standing apart from the political upheavals of the younger realms as an enduring pillar of knowledge and culture. If we're trying to conquer, I feel like Stalwart might be a right place to go. If we can take out a very easily defended position and take out a strong military area, I feel like we'd have a strong base from which to go. Let's go to Stalwart. Year 3 of Kyros' conquest. The realm of Stalwart was best known for its proud army, disciplined, courageous, and undefeated on their home soil. Skill and resolve made Stalwart a military power that Kyros' forces approached with due caution. With its southern position, Stalwart had been largely safe from war, watching for 2 years as its neighbors fell to Kyros' forces. On the dawn of the 3rd year of war, Kyros' forces were finally poised to invade the Stalwart Peninsula and subdue the tier's most vaunted army. So what have we got? Marching on empty. Tragedy struck when hungry Scarlet Chorus soldiers appropriated disfavored... Oh boy. The stalwart defenders burned their crops as they retreated, leaving the invaders little to forage. Starving, the Scarlet Chorus mob raided from the disfavored's well-maintained supply lines, incurring casualties on both sides. Either punish the Scarlet Chorus, you ordered that the thieving Scarlet Chorus soldiers be spiked for their affront, or order the disfavored to share supplies. By your command, the disfavored shared their provisions. The thieves each lost a hand for their treachery. On the other hand, a contentious setback, a stinging defeat led to accusations among Kyros' armies. After a defeat at the hands of enemy defenders, the Scarlet Chorus accused the disfavored of recklessness. The disfavored claimed the Scarlet Chorus brought too few soldiers to cover their flanks. Both armies refused to march until you gave a ruling. Honored the disfavored's reputation. Knowing the disfavored reputation for discipline, as well as the Scarlet Chorus's powers to instill fear and frenzy, you decided that the Scarlet Chorus was in the wrong. Or, lacking proof that the Scarlet Chorus recruits were negligent, you punished the disfavored commander for his failure, and for bringing charges without evidence. While an interesting idea, I think marching on empty is the biggest problem. So our choice is either punish the Scarlet Chorus for thieving, or order the disfavored to share, and the thieves each lose a hand. While thieving is wrong, at least with choosing this, the thieves are still punished. And we have to work together. We can't leave someone starving. So, order the disfavored to share, but the thieves are still punished. Scarlet Chorus commanders argued that the Horde was starving. Being the largest of Kyros' armies, they were also the least provisioned. The men were wrong to steal, but the disfavored were equally wrong to withhold supplies from their allies. You agreed that the chorus version of events, and ordered that the disfavored supplies be shared. The thieves themselves would be punished with loss of a hand and returned to the front lines. The disfavored found this a sickening aberration of justice, and surrendered their supplies with grudging acceptance. Next, the Beasts of Stalwart, which is Scarlet Chorus mages discovered a spell to turn beastmen slaves against their handlers. The army prepared to deploy this tactic elsewhere, but the disfavored protested. The use of unsanctioned magical practices ran contrary to Kyros' law, and beastmen were considered too erratic to be relied upon, even as shock troops. Either agree with the disfavored. You agree with the disfavored argument and ordered the beastmen slain. The Scarlet Chorus mages who discovered the trick were ordered to never use it again on pain of execution. Or, you approved the Scarlet Chorus's new innovation and ruled the technique an acceptable use of wartime magic. The other option, better dead than red. Rather than submit to Scarlet Chorus conscription, conquered locals began committing suicide. Desperate to add more bodies to the Horde, the Scarlet Chorus demanded a portion of disfavored prisoners. The disfavored denied the right of recruitment, as the realm's population had taken a steep decline. Either deny the Scarlet Chorus their right, you banned the Scarlet Chorus from recruiting in the realm of Stalwart, going so far as notifying the locals to assuage their fears, or you refused the disfavored request and allowed the Scarlet Chorus to continue recruitment. Additionally, you ordered the disfavored camp slaves be given to the Chorus to make up for the losses suffered. Truth be told, I'm going with the Beasts of Stalwart and sticking with agreeing with the disfavored. After all, if the use of unsanctioned magical practices run contrary to Kyros' law, well, we're going with that. Even though it's a clever idea. The law is law. The Scarlet Chorus argued that their tactics were suppressed by the disfavored's rigid sense of ethics, which didn't apply to their side of the military campaign. You listened to these complaints with interest, wondering if they suggested some greater flaw in the Conquest, but stood by your decision. The disfavored took the more orderly approach. Kyros' peace meant nothing without order. The disfavored carved a slow, steady path into the heart of Stalwart and surrounded the enemy's massive fortress. With the main bulk of their forces defeated, the enemy leadership retreated to their mighty fortress, content to wait out the war. The Overlord answered this impudence with an edict of storms on the peninsula, a devastating spell that would endure for as long as the cowardly hearts of Stalwart's leaders persisted in beating. Pleased by your efforts, Tunon deemed you the proper representative to deliver Kyros' edict. Aside from being given a 3-day window to read the edict, you received no other instructions. What is this? Kyros' most powerful magic is that of the edict. Commandments cast upon whole regions that can control and destroy man and nature alike. Once cast, an edict can rain fire, wither crops, demoralize cities, usher in endless nights, or do whatever it is that Kyros envisioned. No known force, magical or mundane, can stop an edict, though each edict is often worded to include some condition or contingency that will see its end. Some edicts have been short-lived, delivering days of wanton catastrophe, just as many have lingered for centuries. A devastating spell that would endure for as long as the cowardly hearts of stalwart's leaders persisted in beating. So it does have an end. The Edict of Storms. Let's see. Give no warning. Agreeing with the wishes of the disfavored, you proclaimed the edict at once, leaving the enemy no time to react. Stalwart had ample opportunity to surrender for several years. The time for mercy was gone. Or warn the people. In an attempt to integrate themselves with the people of Stalwart, the Scarlet Course insisted that warning be sent to the towns and villages, so that the people may prepare for the horror about to descend on them. Warning the towns and villages. I suppose that's not a terrible thing. Let it not be said that though I am sticking with law, I am not merciful to those who are innocent. Kyros' wrath was intended for the cowardly regents of Stalwart, not those unfortunates swept up in the calamity of their leadership. A warning in advance of the spell would give locals time to prepare for the devastation to come. You were content to let punishment fall on the innocent as lightly as Kyros' will allows. Comforted that you might yet spare lives, you broke the seal of Kyros' Edict of Storms and read the Overlord's incantation. Dang. The clear skies darkened as you read the final words of the edict. A flurry of wind and rain whipped through the rolling plains and craggy canyons, turning rocks, uprooted trees, and hapless soldiers into hazardous shrapnel. Armed with a measure of foresight, you were able to remove yourself from the area before the storms grew more violent. Over time, nearby communities told of cyclones consisting of thousands of soldiers' worth of limbs, spears, armor, and skulls. What's more, the weather showed no signs of dissipating. Several units of disfavored who fought the enemy in spite of the advancing storm were caught up in the Overlord's magic. The few survivors were grouped and nursed their wounds. Their failure to topple the Stalwart Legion shamed them into believing the dead more fortunate. The name Stalwart fell from use. People took to calling it the Blade Grave, for the remade landscape festooned with the iron and bronze armaments of two once great legions. As Kyros' forces departed, you spared a glance back at the ruins of Stalwart, marveling at your work. You didn't have long to rest before Tunon called you into service once more. This episode's going long, but we're learning Conquest. Oh no, that's it. You have reached the end of Kyros' Conquest. Do you want to continue, or erase your progress and start over? Continue. And this is where we get to the start. I'll be ending this episode soon. Oh boy, that was a lot of reading. But that is very interesting that that's how they do this whole thing. I like it. I really do.
The year is 431, and Kyros' invasion has shattered all major opposition in the tiers. The Younger Realms, the Bastard Tier, the Free Cities. All who defied Kyros lay broken by battle, or bowed in surrender. The two armies of the Overlord, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, now control our lands. But our will is not yet extinguished. Not entirely. In the Valley of Vendrian's Well, those of us unwilling to bow to Kyros have banded together in defiance. Violating an oath of surrender from 2 years prior, we have staged a bloody uprising, murdering the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus garrison in a midnight assault. With their main forces spread across the tiers, The disfavored and Scarlet Chorus redeploy to Vendrian's Well to crush the resistance. But months pass with no definitive battle. As disagreement and discord paralyze the Archons, we bide our time and wait for our message of insurrection to spread across the tiers. The Overlord is not amused, and Kyros has one message for the Archons: crush the Oathbreakers or die. Kyros backs this threat with an edict, a magical commandment that can slay all in the valley should the order be ignored. The honor of proclaiming this edict fell to you. Sent across the mountains to Vendrian's Well, you carry the Overlord's edict to read before the Archons.
Oof.
As you finally make your way through the winding mountain passes into the valley, the ground trembles, and Kyros' magic seals the way behind you. You are trapped in Vendrian's Well, with Kyros' armies and the Oathbreakers. The only way to survive is to fulfill the terms of the Overlord's edict, in any way that you can.
So it be. Fate-minded Jason Pendragon, I presume? We've been expecting you. If this is your first visit to the world of Tyranny, watch these windows to help you become familiar with the game. Okay, and I am ending this episode here, because it's gone on long enough. A bit longer than usual, but it makes up for the last one being a bit shorter. Okay, so, we're finally in the game. It only took 2 episodes. Well, technically 3, but dang, that Conquest thing, I like that. That's really interesting and really well done, because it's not just your own history, but also what just happened. This is going to be good. And there's a lot I'm going to need to look at. But that'll be in the next episode. So until then, I'm Chester44, that is Jason Pendragon. This has been a Let's Play of Tyranny, and I shall see you all next time.